My name's Simon Linford. I've been president of the Central Council for nearly 4 years. Yeah, what's the role? Well, yeah, start with an easy one. It's sort of like being a chief executive, because the council's got an executive group and a number of work groups through which the majority of its work is done, and the president leads that executive and the work groups in turn. But it's very different to being a chief executive of a business or a charity where you have people who work for you, and where you can tell people things to do. I've done that. I've run a company, and this is so different because basically all the work is being done by people who are freely giving their time, so you can't really impose on anybody. But I think the role has probably changed over time, certainly post CRAD, which created the executive and put power into its hands to pursue sort of strategy on behalf of ringing without having to refer back to a meeting once a year, which was much criticised, I think, by the ringing community. And I think perhaps there have been presidents in the past who've seen it very much as almost a ceremonial role, and go to some dinners and that sort of stuff, which I don't really see. The executive has developed a strategy for how we can support and develop ringing, to the extent, of course, that it's within our power or within our gift. And we do whatever we can to make it happen. And I think we sort of focus on the things which we know we can do, and just don't get too worried about the things we can't do. And that's done with the executive meets monthly. I think Zoom, the Zoom obviously that came as a result of the pandemic, has made us quite efficient. I mean, we don't travel around to meetings a lot. We meet once a month for a couple of hours in an evening, and it's really quite efficient and easy. And once a quarter, we also meet with the work group leaders, involve them in wider discussion. And there's always an agenda of things we're checking up we've done, and things, developing new thoughts, obviously reacting to circumstances and things we need to do. And I hope also that my blogs, they've been valuable in that they give an impression to a lot of ringers about what the council is actually doing. And I suppose in turn, therefore, what the role of the president is. I mean, the president sort of steers and cajoles and persuades and sometimes represents ringing on a wider scale. And of course, if pandemics come along, we try and steer ringing through that. But hopefully that won't be the role of another president for a long time. What made me want to become president? Well, first of all, I didn't. I was asked to, completely out of the blue, which took me rather by surprise, and I didn't say yes straight away. I think all presidents, I think, have built up to becoming president of the Central Council, either having been the deputy or vice, whatever it was called, and maybe having done a lot of council work, and maybe see it as the sort of pinnacle of the council career. And I was a bit different in that, although I had been a council rep for 6 years, and served on education committee at the time, I wasn't an active member of the council before I was asked. And I consulted with a lot of my friends on whether it's something I should do. I was very worried about dropping the St Martin's Guild, which I was master of at the time. And in the end, it was my wife Eleanor said, I think she said, if you really want to make a difference, then you need to do it on the biggest stage. And that did strike a chord. And all my friends said, yes, you should do it. And so I have. What do I get out of it? Well, certainly what I will look back on, when I look back on this 4 years, which has had its ups and downs. Certainly the first year of it was, I don't think there were any ups. It was all downs. But I'll certainly be pleased I've done it. I hope that I will look at some things in ringing and be pleased that we as a team started them, or they were our ideas and they've come to fruition, and that they're effective. I'll also be glad of all the new people I now know who I didn't know before, and it's broadened my sphere of contacts, the number of people I know across the ringing spectrum. I mean, I was probably fairly narrow in terms of the people I knew. Obviously, I knew people locally, and I knew the people I rang bills with, and I knew all my friends. But now I've got a very, very much broader view ringing, and there are people I know in so many more places, and I'll be very pleased that that's because I did this job. Why should someone consider it? I would be, if I was chatting someone up and trying to persuade them to do it, I would major on the satisfaction that is gained from doing a significant job on behalf of ringing and being able to make a difference. There aren't that many significant jobs in ringing. Obviously, there are societies to run, and there's art to be chair of, and there's the ringing world to be editor of, and there's a central council to be president of. So there are a few big jobs, and they are relatively influential, and there is satisfaction from doing them. It can be difficult and it can be frustrating. And there are obviously the ringing community is very good at criticising, and you have to roll with the punches at times. I think that was definitely true through COVID, which cost me friends at the time. So there is that satisfaction though, and I'd also say not to be too worried about doing it the same way that I've done it, because I can go a little bit over the top in terms of activity and starting things off and throwing ideas around, and you think, oh my goodness, please thought of something else. But the council does have a strong strategy, which is being revised, but it'll be finished over the summer. And we don't actually really need any more ideas. We need a few solid years of getting things done and making these things happen that we think are good ideas, and it just needs us all to do it. But I was sceptical when I was asked to be president, as I was probably on the side of the fence that thought that ringing was fine, whatever the central council does. I was in my ringing activities, it sort of sailed above the establishment. But I see now how much wouldn't happen if it wasn't volunteers working under the direction of the council executive, if they didn't do what they do. So much that wouldn't happen, and that is important. And I think one of my successes in the last 4 years is not necessarily doing more stuff, but making people aware of what the council is doing. And I think it's got a degree of respect that it might not have had as widely before. I mean, so I think that's a positive. And also I think there are a lot more people doing work on behalf of the council who I would never have envisaged would have done so before, and that's good. And I think there are fewer people saying, what has the council ever done for us, because they see that the council does actually do stuff, and it's not something to be knocked. And I think maybe that will make the job of future president slightly easier. I suppose there's a lot of different skills. You certainly need to be a self-starter. You need to be enthusiastic and care about the future of ringing, of course, and have some ideas. You've definitely got to have the time spare to do it. It wouldn't be fair to say you can do this really, really easily in the odd half hour here and there. There are times when I might be spending a day on council work, of course. So to have a little bit of time to do it is good. But it hasn't caused me. And if you're worried that you'll have to give up PL ringing, or you'll have to give up teaching, or whatever it is you do, that's not the case. I haven't really had to give up too much. I suppose it's enabled me to pick and choose what I do. I've always got an excuse. You need to be diplomatic. At times, you need to communicate effectively with third parties, people who are not ringers. You've got to be able to listen. You've got to be able to encourage people. It's a big thing. As I said, we use volunteers, so there's a lot of encouraging and maybe a bit of cajoling and being empathic to other people, and because you are dealing with lots of different sorts of ringers are ringers at the end of the day, and persuading them to do things and showing gratitude when things are done well, and which is fairly basic. I know it does tend. I think it helps to have credibility as a ringer. Broad experience is valuable, and it's useful if you've been a ringer a while. You've got lots of contacts, lots of people you can call upon. I think one of the benefits of changing president every now and again is you open up a different little black book, my successor will have a different. Hopefully, will keep a lot of the people who I persuaded to do stuff, but also will open up a book, a Rolodex, or whatever of other people they can persuade to do stuff, and we'll just get stronger. So I think that's just about it. All lots and lots of skills, but all the skills that are useful in working with volunteers. After September's AGM, I'm actually starting a master's, so I'm looking forward to doing something very, very different. What I'm looking forward to ringing wise, I'm actually hoping to carry on with some of the projects that I started, but maybe without the pressures of actually being president. I'm looking forward to people not winding me up and calling me El Presidente, but because ultimately they bit of a dig, but it's okay. It's light-hearted. But no, I'm looking forward to continuing to work for the council in a way I never thought I would, because I believe in some of the stuff it's done, and I'll do that alongside studying architecture.